Sorry. So we have two bids, one from Royal Coach and one from First Student. Um, the shuttle buses. So we do it in usually in two different things: the shuttle buses and the trip buses. And if the prices are substantially different, one company could get one and a different company could get the other, and that's happened in the past. We'd rather not do that, but it has happened in the past. This year, we also added, let me talk to you what we added. So on your bid sheet there, you have a third item, which says alternate bid item home transport. So I indulged our camp leadership and tried to put a bid spec together that would include children being picked up at home in the village and brought to camp, and then picked up at camp and brought home at the end of the day, only within the village border. It was difficult for me to try to quantify that because we didn't know how many people there would be. There was some indication of interest over the winter in it, but an exact number, and then also having to put together basically a bus route that you can pick kids up and get them to school on time, all in amount of proper time, was really a guesstimate. So we put out to bid that would include two buses, which is basically 88 children. Not anticipating that we would get that many if we went with it, because it would have to be fully paid for. So if the bus costs $100 and there's 100 kids, that's $1 a piece. So those bids came in. The shuttle bus is what it's listed there. The trip bus is what it's listed there. And then the home bus. I gave you a total with no alternate. And I gave you a total with the alternate. So the low bidder in all categories is Royal Coach. And after going through with Royal Coach about the pickup, because we tried to see if there was a way to make it a little bit cheaper, because the way they had bid it is they bid two buses for the shuttle, which is what we require, and then two additional buses for the camp, for the home stuff. So I posed to them, if that was not four buses, but two buses, because the time schedule works out, would it be cheaper? The answer was yes, but not much. It was about $2,000 cheaper. So my recommendation is that we do not do the alternate this year, that we attempt to try to plan that a little better and attempt it for next year, because I really think that the people involved in the camp had spoken to a few other camps that do home pickup, and they were led to believe that, it's just going to be a couple $100 a day added on, and it wasn't reality. It comes out to be $550 a day times two. So that, with, if we had 100 kids, that's not affordable. People aren't going to pay for that. So the recommendation is that we do the award to Royal Coach in the amount of $75,060, which represents the shuttle bus and the bus trips.
So to get a better understanding of the amount of campers that would take advantage of this opportunity through the registration process, have they gauge what that number would be?
The home pickup,
Correct.
the last number that I was given was around 35. But it wasn't a solid, do you want to do this, yes or no, and what what the cost was. So I think maybe next year we could do this, saying, here's what we believe the cost is if we have this number of kids.
So let me make sure that I'm understanding. That amount, what would we be charging? Let's say the amount for alternate bid item home transfer was $26,000, right? What would we be charging per family at that? Because are you saying that it's a fluctuating amount, so we would have to take that amount and then just divide it by how many. families.
That would be the number as long as we don't have more than 88 kids,
Correct.
that number. So let's use that number. Let's use the 26,400. And let's say it's 50 kids. It's $528 a kid.
So that's how much we'd be charging them.
Unless you're gonna subsidize it, yeah. But how are you gonna subsidize it for one and not subsidize it for all? There's another cost that's kind of hidden that doesn't show up here. I also have to get a different, additional, liability insurance for the village because now we're operating a transportation system, which is gonna run about 25,000.
We haven't done this in the past.
No, never. Some of there's real good intentions behind this. Especially this year and the planning of this year, because camp this year is a whole lot different than it's been in other years because we're actually going to be using Dixon. So you have families that are going to be dropping kids off at Dixon and then dropping kids off at the high school. And to try to organize that, probably the first couple of days is going to be very difficult. So one of the thoughts were, let's put some kids on some buses. One bus pulls up instead of, 25 cars. But it's just at this time, I don't think it's practical to try to do it. And Chrissy finally agrees with me.
At what point was this brought to you in the planning process?
It was first mentioned to me in January as a what if, and we're going to check it out. And then once the bid documents were given to me, it took me, a little while to grasp it and try to figure out how I'm going to bid it so I can get oranges against oranges and not apples against pineapples. And at one point, I had to say that, and I don't mean this in a bad way. I meant this in a way that so the person could understand what I was dealing with. Okay, the idea and the concept is a camp director item. The bidding and the logistics of everything and making it try to work here is a village administrator component. At some point, those two items weren't clicking real good. Because of, my first thing I got to look at is the cost, and then probably as equally is liability. So, that's where it had to be structured the right way. I think they really thought that at some point they were just going to utilize the shuttle buses to pick kids up in the morning and send them home. Just add it on, and it was only going to be a half hour. Well, doesn't work that way. Doesn't work that way.
I do think that this would be a benefit to the community going forward. I thought a little bit at asking them, even at 80 kids at 26,400, I thought at the idea of asking a family to spend $330. I thought at that idea because the families that would most likely benefit greatly from this are those of our families who have to be at work by a certain point in time. I'm getting home. So it's one of those things whereby we want to make sure that it's benefiting those in this community that need the money. So I don't think, had you told me that their numbers right now were higher than 35, I would potentially make an argument for let's push it forward now. Can't make that argument for 35 because I think 35 becomes 5 and then we back out 5. But I do think that going forward, as we plan for the following summer, this is definitely something that we should plan for. And I think that we can do a post-camp survey we do every year. But one of those questions has to be about transportation to get more solid numbers. That's one. And then two, we've got to figure out a scenario where we can budgetarily subsidize it, because I think asking the family to pay more than $250, I think is not fair. So I think that's got to be part of the conversation as we're going forward, is how do we make this work for everyone involved, but we are actually working from a point of view of knowing what to expect. But I agree with your assessment. I just think that this date at this time, those numbers, I don't think it's a reasonable.
To be honest with you, to do it the right way is to offer it to everyone,
Yeah,
build in the cost into the camp.
Yeah.
And it's gonna cost 3 times the amount that you have on this list to do that.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
you just mentioned, you're saying in the request to 7 different companies. We got plenty of bus companies in. Out of those 7, how come only 2 of them?
Last year, we only had 1. There's a couple of reasons. One, is it's a small contract. 2 is the lack of bus drivers that are available. And then third, even though we're about 3 weeks ahead of where we were last year, we're still a hair late in the game when we're trying to put this together. And that's just a natural enemy of trying to get as exact as we can with the trips.
You also said, Royal Coach. They had a contract last year.
Yes.
Do you recall how much money we paid last year?
It was a little around this, the trips were a little less because we had less trips. The shuttle was about the same. And then I think the shuttle ended up actually cost wise being about 33. Because there was a couple add-ons, there's some stuff that gets adjusted during the year. Like when it rains, you know, like alley instead of the spray park. So that's a further trip, stuff like that.
I mean, oftentimes trips for far distances will get delayed, and then that is,
Right. Well, that just reminded me of one of the other nuances to this that camp staff didn't anticipate, didn't think about. So when I had my conversation, and at first I didn't, I asked the bus company to be able to understand it a little better. I said to them, why is it not another $100 or another $200? Why is it $550, which is you're giving me a discounted on the full day price? And it was, you know, I should have realized it myself before I got the answer. Overtime. So if it ends up being 2 buses instead of 4 buses, the 4 buses and 2 buses aren't going to involve overtime at all, where the 2 buses will involve overtime, which then becomes a premium with the union cost and the bus, etc. So it's not always, when you're trying to use less buses, not always the wise thing to do.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Trustee Evans? Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Trustee Lopez?
Yes, sir.
I think we usually,
Tony, when Tony's not here, I get to talk. So we have our 3-year cycle of CDBG, Community Development Block Grant program applications coming up before us. The application deadline is August 16th, which is quickly coming upon us. Just a general background of the program. Each community that's part of the Westchester County Consortium, not everybody is, has an opportunity to put up to 4 applications in for a period over the 3-year funding cycle. And when you do that, we basically list our priorities, 1, 2, 3, and 4. I think last year we only put 3 in. Years before that, we put 4 in. Actually, I think the last time we put 4 in, we only got 2. So when we put 3 in, we get 3. So there's some superstition, I guess, behind that. Each application is a 50% grant minimum match. And the CDBG portion can't be any more than 200,000. So the minimum project you're looking at is or maximum at those numbers really is 200 and 200 is a $400,000 project, unless the municipality is going to pay the amount above the 400,000, which we've done before. For example, the playground just finished at White Plains Avenue Park, is about a $500,000 project, which we got $200,000 for. The water line that we just approved the other night on 9A is a $600,000 project, which we're getting $200,000 for. DeLuca Park Playground was a 450, which we got 200,000 for. So those are the kind of things that the price ranges that we're looking at. The ultimate project, all projects must benefit low and moderate income people, at least 51% low and moderate income. So I gave you the map, which outlines the low and moderate income block groups in the village. The green track 1, 1, 2, BG4 is the only track in the village that has low and moderate income. If you look at that, it doesn't touch or barely touches the park that we've been doing a lot of work in. And it has a whole bunch of area that, really a part of the industrial area and some of the residential area on the north side of 287. So the types of projects that we would be looking at in those areas, obviously, is we could possibly do more work at White Plains Avenue Park with recreational facilities. And then after that, we're really looking at water lines, sidewalks. That's it. One of the things that I'm talking to them about is a possibility of trying to do some creative math and calculations to include the water tank project as an application for funding of up to $200,000 as a village-wide project that shows that that the 200,000 benefits a substantial amount of low and moderate income people. It's a long shot, but it's, I mean, if we don't have, 3 other or 4 good applications, it's worth trying that. One that, just to give you an example, 2 years ago or 3 years ago, we had and we've been turned down twice on this, the sidewalks from Winthrop heading northeast on White Plains Avenue. So from Winthrop walking away from the park. The physical sidewalk is not in the census block that's 51% low and moderate income, but we've invested so much money in CDBGs, invested so much money in the park that's how the people are going to walk to the park by that sidewalk, because that sidewalk's not there today. We tried to massage those numbers and weren't successful. So that would be the same principle with the water project if we're able to do that. Tony and I are going over a couple things now. We're going to have our CDBG rep here next week or the week after to run through some things with us, what her thoughts are. But what we need to do now is establish really 2 public hearings. I think I originally said 1, but we need 2. We need the first public hearing to be I have it written down as the 17th, which would be our next meeting. And what that public hearing would be is for it to take public comment on proposed projects, interest in projects. And then we would need a second public hearing either in July or in August, obviously before 8/16, to go over the proposed projects and then approve it.
Would there be any way to piggyback the East Main Street upgrade to the water line from Springbrook Parkway to the village line?
Probably not, because it's not close to this track. If it was in this track, yes. better chance of the water tank because I'm going to invest 2 million, they're going to invest 200. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
That's what I have to convince them that the 51%, my share is a whole lot more than the 51%.
You wanna set the June one now, and then June we'll do the next one based on if you're ready for July or August.
Makes sense?
Well, yes, up to you.
Yeah.
You're okay for the agenda?
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you. Next one is on A03. That was held in Irvington. Lincoln Hollow is celebrating their 150th.
Just wanted to make sure that we were all on the same page with that. And I yield back. Councilman Griffin.
Motion adjourned, okay.
Just one thing. Sorry, Mr. Mayor.
No, I had two hands up, so you're okay.
I got a couple of phone calls from residents. And the question was, how much money did we spend on Memorial Day celebration? Can I have an exact number minus whatever donations we got from businesses, please?
Put together about two.
Thank you, sir.
Mike,
Real quick, on the memo I gave you. 5 August 24 should be 6. Yeah,
I think we're gonna say not 25, but. I'll be the day, right?
That's what I was thinking, like, oh,
top of that thing.
thank you.
I would just like to add one thing. I'm not really sure where you're going with that, Matt, but I totally agree that the magistrate should be an attorney.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't disagree with you. I think it's just important to note that our court system isn't the one stating that, right? Like, it can be our general opinion that the that the judge should be an attorney. But I think it's providing false guidance to state that the New York State court system is telling us that the judge should be an attorney.
Right.
They're not issuing said guidance because to issue said guidance would be telling the majority of the state, hey, you may not be able to follow this, but give it the old college try.
Yeah.
So that's really my point there. But I mean, we sat here and agreed that that letter should absolutely go out because we should do our best to find someone with the legal background to be able to do the job.
if we don't hear something from anybody, we'll send another one out and just say, anybody.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Hello, come
that's
on
what I'm
down.
saying. It's one of those things whereby, you know,
Yeah.
that doesn't end the conversation if nobody responds to that. And then that's kind of the point that I was getting at, is that there are different ways one can obtain, you know, legal knowledge and experience, right? So, I just think we shouldn't close the door on those in the event that we don't get an attorney.
No, and then we should also, like Dan had started to look into the passing the law for anybody in the county.
Correct. Yeah, I think that's a good alternative.
And we were talking about just not doing it for the judge, doing it for other staff members. This way we're not limited to, because, and everybody had said, the pool is so small in the small communities that they're running out of people. So that's why they're passing the laws and are getting them done to open it up to the county, so. Motion during the work session?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?